All right, good evening, everyone. We're going to get started. I'd like to call the May 15th, 2024 Auburn School Committee meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Start down here on my right with introductions.
Dan Poisson, Ward 5.
Quinn Gormley, Ward 4.
Corin McWigan, Ward 1.
Pam Hart, Ward 2.
Pam Albert at large.
Connie Brown, Superintendent.
Pat Gaudier, Ward 3.
Adam Platt, City Council Representative.
Mark Conrad, Business Manager.
Sue Doris, Assistant Superintendent.
Thank you. And our two school representatives, student representatives, are excused tonight. I'm going to start with the approval of our consent agenda, including the approval of tonight's agenda and the approval of the minutes of the May 1st, 2024 meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Pam, Corin, second. All those in favor? Motion passes. Moving on to public participation. Do I have anyone here tonight who would like to address the school committee? All right. Seeing none, we're going to move on to our presentation tonight, presentation of the Auburn Induction Academy.
So if I might jump in here while folks are coming up to the microphone, just for some of the committee members who may not have been part of this initiative 2 years ago, the school department took a careful look at its attrition rate and retention rate among probationary teachers. And we went back 5 years and decided that we thought we could do a better job supporting our new folks. And we looked at why people left. We asked them, why you're leaving, why they weren't able to stay. And then we looked at some structures within our system that may or may not need strengthening. And so that initiative went to the curriculum committee, and the curriculum committee approved it, went to the board, and then Ms. Gagne agreed that she would oversee our efforts. And so that brings us to tonight, because we believe it's important to circle back with the board and let you know what's working and what's not working. And so we have some interesting things to share with you. And so, Michelle, I'll turn it back over to you.
Great. Thank you. So I have a small collection of people here with me to give you a short presentation tonight on, you'll hear it called AIA, which is, teacher acronyms. We love them. It stands for Auburn Induction Academy. And as Dr. Brown referenced, that there was a collective effort to start to put some energy and some resources behind teacher retention, and that was something that was needed in our district. So with that said, we started to try to look at what the need was and also what our resources were, and tried to come up with a program that would be responsive and flexible and would really meet the needs of our new teachers in their first year teaching here in Auburn. And that didn't mean that everyone was a brand new teacher, so it was a pretty diverse group of people year one. And so we were learning as we were also creating this wonderful program. The mission is teacher retention, but we also have a focus on our hiring and also our professional development. And so what we have created is this system where we have improved our mentoring program. We always had a mentoring program here in Auburn, but rather than have always a one-to-one mentoring program, we really created these cohorts of these really well-versed mentors that were also getting professional development and common tools, and then really assign them to either a mentee or a group of mentees with the vision that we would be building that camaraderie for our new folks here in Auburn. And so we decided that we would be meeting once a month with our mentors and mentees, and that we would structure our program with a topic every month that was responsive to their needs. So sometimes that took some questioning and really asking them what they needed in time and developing that as we went. But also that feedback was also giving us what we needed to teach them in terms of strategies. So our meetings are always organized with a topic and then a teaching strategy, and then followed up with a discussion. And our mentors are also part of that group. so that they join us monthly and help facilitate table talks. And as you'll hear a little bit later in the presentation, it's a pretty robust conversation every single month that we get together. So year one, it was me in the group. And then we started to look at the feedback, and we really saw an opportunity to differentiate a little bit better, because our group included nurses, school counselors, kindergarten teachers, high school history teachers, and the conversation sometimes really needed to be focused on what people, where they were teaching once they were back in their buildings. So that was when we decided to bring Diana aboard, and Diana is our enrichment teacher over at AMS, and she is very well connected with the high school and middle school. So she has become, in year two, my thinking partner, and she's brought her gifts to AIA as well, which include really great skills in technology. So she's added Google Classroom to our repertoire to help these new teachers access information readily. And so we have some more information to share, and Diana's going to do that at this time.
Thanks, Michelle. As Michelle said, the AIA helps both new teachers, new to teaching their first year, but also teachers that have experience in other districts. And we've had a lot of feedback this year about the help that we've given to the teachers who are not new to teaching, but are new to Auburn. Through our collaborative sessions, mentees have been able to meet members of the Auburn School Department who work in various buildings, as well as people that work downtown in the offices. So new teachers have learned a lot about who to go to when they have questions specific to Auburn. One mentee noted that, quote, even after having my professional certificate, this opportunity was helpful to learn the expectations of this school system. New teachers have also been able to learn a lot through our monthly sessions. Mentees were overwhelmingly grateful for the elementary and secondary sessions on technology support that were provided by our district technology coaches, because they learned how to utilize their iPads to create interactive lessons, keep track of student work, and support their multi-language learners. More than 80% of the mentees that we surveyed felt that they were better prepared for parent-teacher conferences after talking in their primary or secondary groups about how to talk to parents about their child's abilities to meet grade-level expectations. And all of the mentees that we surveyed stated that they found the resources about childhood trauma help them understand their students and their family situations a little bit better. At the middle school, which is where I work, teachers work in teams of 4 teachers and approximately 80 students. And for many new teachers, their veteran team members help them with their daily questions. But we have had times where on a 4-person team, we have 2 or 3 new teachers. Okay? And that's when those mentors that are assigned to these new teachers and AIA facilitators like myself and Michelle can help those new teachers navigate technology and building specific questions while problem solving, so that mentees don't always have to feel like a burden on their grade level team members. There's a great sense of camaraderie that comes from veteran teachers working with new teachers, and it builds a strong sense of community in the building. Teaching's an incredibly demanding profession, and we work in teams of teachers to teach our students, and now we're working as teams of veteran teachers to support our new staff members. So I'd like to introduce one of our mentees. This is Samantha Martineau, and she's a first grade teacher at Park Ave this year.
Hi, I think that AIA was really helpful in the fact that I had a mentor that was at Fairview, and just like they talked about earlier, sometimes I feel like I went up to my team a lot, so it was helpful to get a different out of the school perspective. And also getting to communicate with other people at different schools, because I was at Park Ave this year, and I was one of the only new first grade or classroom teachers. So it was helpful to see how other people were doing and see other people that were brand new and hadn't been there for multiple years.
Thank you. We have, like I mentioned before, it's a really diverse group of people that benefit. Go ahead.
Should I say?
Sure, in case they have questions for you. We have a really diverse group of people that benefit from AIA. It's not, like I said, new teachers brand new to teaching. It's new teachers brand new to Auburn, new teachers brand new to teaching, teachers that are teaching every grade level, and not just classroom teachers. It's nurses, school counselors, and I just want to highlight what Samantha said, which is her mentor was actually a teacher from Fairview, even though she was teaching at Park, because that was the best person to assist her in what she was going to be doing this year. And so it is automatically bridging and creating this sense of camaraderie between all of our schools, and the conversation is so deep. And I want to thank all of our mentors who have done an outstanding job again this year in the AIA program, and our new folks as well who have had a really successful year, including Samantha. And we would love to take questions from anybody at this time, if you have any.
Anyone have any questions?
I don't have a question. I just have a comment that I'm impressed that the academy consists of different disciplines and not just teaching. I was under the impression, and I was actually one on the committee that voted for this, and I think it's an amazing program. And you've done a great job, and thank you to Dr. Brown for initiating it. But I'm impressed that it's not just teaching, so that's great. So it's just a full staff, so everybody can get an idea of how we work, which is great.
Thank you.
Kudos to you.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
All right. Moving on, we do not have a school committee student representatives report tonight. Moving on to our superintendent's report.
Mine is just a very brief reminder to the folks watching that there are many, many end-of-year activities that take place this time of year. And the best place to track those is at the individual schools. So for example, Edward Little graduation is June 1st, and then that is followed by adult ed and the middle school. There are lots of other things that happen. And so I don't go through those other than to say folks should check with their buildings to be reminded of those dates. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. I do not have a chairperson's report tonight. Adam, do we have a city council update?
Yes, thank you. Just three quick points here. The first, and this is relative to what I spoke about at the last meeting, but the Edward Little student reps to the city council were successfully approved at the May 6th meeting. So that's great. And I think even though their terms officially start July 1st, I believe they're going to get started before that, is what Phil mentioned. So that's great. Number two, at the last meeting on May 6th, for anyone who is watching, the city council successfully adopted the fiscal year 2025 Auburn school budget. It was a vote of 5-2. I think there was some good discourse. Obviously, it still goes to the city, to the voters. And Connie, what's the date of that? Is it
June 11th.
June 11th for everyone watching, and hopefully, I would imagine it'll be notifications in the paper as well.
Yes, Mr. Conrad, we send a postcard to all of the families in Auburn. Is that correct?
Correct. Those will be going out about a week and a half before the election.
Important that everybody votes. And then the last is just an extension of more budget talk. The city council also approved the first reading of the city's appropriations resolve, aka the budget. That was also a vote of 5-2. So there will be another reading at City Council, another opportunity for public participation, and we'll see how that all plays out.
Great, thank you. Under committee reports tonight, we do have both a finance subcommittee agenda and minutes from the May 8th meeting linked. We also have the agenda and minutes of the curriculum subcommittee from the May 1st meeting, as well as the health and safety subcommittee agenda and minutes from the May 6th meeting. And then also the minutes from the Facilities Advisory Subcommittee minutes from April 24th. So moving on to old business, I will entertain a motion to approve policy AUB EEA Student Transportation Services for a second reading and approval. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Pam, do I have a second? Quinn, thank you. Any discussion, questions?
So as a member of this the policy subcommittee, I just wanted to state that as a committee, we agreed to the suggested changes, which included providing transportation to students in grade 9 through 12 who live 1 mile from the school or beyond, noting that the school department oversees the crossing guards and updating the appeals process to reflect current staffing and committee structures. Additionally, the opening sentence was reworded for clarity. So just to let the public know what the changes were and why we made the changes.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving policy AUB-EEA? Motion passes. Moving on, I'll entertain a motion to approve policy AUB-EEA-EA, student transportation employee requirements, training, and responsibilities for a second reading and approval. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Quinn. Any comments, discussion on that?
Again. So as a committee, we agreed with the suggested changes, including updates to the annual medical examination requirements and the legal reference section.
Okay, great. Thank you, Pam. All those in favor of approving policy AUB-EEA-EA? Motion passes. Entertain a motion to approve policy AUB-EEA-EAA, drug and alcohol testing of school bus drivers for a second reading and approval. Do I have a motion?
Seconded.
Corin, Quinn, any comments or discussion?
So as a committee, we discussed drug and alcohol testing for school bus drivers as mandated by federal and state laws. The federal regulations stipulate that drivers transporting 16 or more passengers must undergo such testing. Committee members reduced the number of passengers to 10 or more to ensure consistency across the Auburn School Department policies. These can also be found on our website as well, but we just want to articulate what they are.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor of approving policy AUB-EEA-EAA? Motion passes. Moving on to policy. Motion to approve policy AUB-EEA-EAA-R, drug and alcohol testing of school bus drivers, administrative procedure for a second reading and approval. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Pat?
Seconded.
Second, Quinn. Any discussion, comments?
So as a committee, we reviewed different sections of the policy, noting that federal transportation laws are reflected throughout. Language was added to clarify that the pool for random testing is a state-level testing pool. Members also discussed what constitutes a controlled substance and the circumstances that warrant testing of drivers.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving policy AUB-EEA-EAA-R, drug and alcohol testing of school bus drivers? Motion passes. Entertain a motion to approve policy AUB-EEA-EF, video cameras on transportation vehicles for a second reading and approval. Do I have a motion?
Seconded.
Lauren, second. Quinn. Any discussion, comments?
Yes, we as a committee agreed to the suggested changes, including clarification regarding parent requests for viewing videotapes, notification regarding the use of video cameras, and the retention of the videotapes as part of a student's disciplinary record.
Great, thank you. All those in favor of approving policy AUB-EEA-EF, video cameras on transportation vehicles for second reading and approval? Motion passes. Lastly, a motion to approve policy AUB-EEA-EF-R, video cameras on transportation vehicles procedures for a second reading and approval. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Corin. Quinn, second. Any comments or discussion?
Committee members reviewed the sections of the policy eliminating redundant language under viewing requests by moving, eliminating, and renumbering items in that section.
Great, thank you. All those in favor of approving policy AUB-EEA-EF-R? Motion passes. Okay, moving on to new business tonight. Can I entertain a motion to terminate the lease of the building at 1830 Lisbon Street, Lewiston, Maine, effective October 31st, 2024? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Pat, do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, Adam. And discussion, questions on this one?
Yeah.
The Auburn School Department is no longer the fiscal agent for the Share Center, number one. Number two, I'm on the board of the Share Center, so I can kind of tell you a few things that are going on. The building that we are in is having some structural problems, and there's some water problems outside the building. So we're kind of in transition in regards to where we're going to be when this lease ends. Because the lease states that we must notify them before June 1st, is that correct, Mark? That we will not be the obligator on the lease. I would recommend that we no longer do that.
Thank you, Pat. Adam, did you have some comments?
Yeah, I was just adding, I guess, some additional verbiage to that explanation. My understanding at the finance meeting was that as the city no longer being the financial agent or the fiscal agent for the Share Center, previously the school had guaranteed that lease that was being paid by the Share Center. Now that arrangement does not exist between the school department and the Share Center, it would be fiscally irresponsible of us to guarantee someone else's lease, therefore the justification for pulling out of this lease.
Right, the Share Center became its own 403B this past fall, so they are their own entity separate from the school department now.
Well, actually, we're a nonprofit incorporated with the state of Maine, but we do not have our 501c3 designation as yet. It takes about 18 months.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion on this motion? Okay.
I had one other question.
Oh,
Is this this type of business, is this a first reading, second reading type of thing, or is this we vote and that?
This is a motion to approve this tonight.
Understood.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no further discussion. All those in favor to terminate the lease of the building at 1830 Lisbon Street, Lewiston, Maine, effective October 31st, 2024. Motion passes. I'll entertain a motion to enter into a contract with Harriman at a cost of $5,000 per application to complete DOE construction applications funded with the remaining balance of $224,765 on the FY 2022 capital improvement bond. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Corin, second. Adam, were you second?
Yes.
Okay. And discussion, questions, clarification on this?
Yeah, I guess just to add some clarification from my takeaway from the finance subcommittee meeting, this application fee is required to submit to the Department of Energy. My understanding was that we were going to submit 11 of these applications. Is that correct, Mark?
Well, it's actually 7 for our elementary schools and the middle school. So it would be a total of $35,000.
And these are due in August, correct?
Correct?
And this is a funding cycle that only happens every 5 to 7-ish years?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is, go ahead.
So we're going to put this money up front to help with the applications, but now there is a potential for us to get a lot more money to help us with our projects, correct?
Yes, so this is the first step necessary to become a state-approved construction project for substantial school renovations. So we see it as part of our due diligence. Even if we're not successful, we have to pose the request, and this will enable us to do that.
And where Harriman has already done our facilities report, they already have a lot of the information that's needed to complete the applications. So and the applications are not simple, is my understanding. They're quite time-consuming and labor-intensive. So that is the motivation behind having Harriman complete these applications for us. Any other questions or discussion? Okay. All those in favor of entering into a contract with Harriman at a cost of $5,000 per application to complete DOE construction applications. All those in favor? Motion passes. Okay. We have a list of our upcoming meetings on the agenda. Any requests for future agenda items or requests for information?
Can I
Yep.
I'm going to verify this with Dr. Doris, but I believe we have a May 22nd Facilities Advisory Committee meeting that's not on the list.
Yes, that's not on the list.
May 22nd.
Is it the 29th or the 22nd?
Is it the 29th or the 22nd, Sue? I think I had it down as the 29th.
I have it as the 29th.
29th,
Yes,
okay.
it will be the
29th.
29th.
29.
3:30 to 5:30, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So May 29th, Facilities Subcommittee meeting. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Any other, yes, Quinn?
I saw in the curriculum subcommittee notes a report from the McKinney-Bento program and reporting about 200 unhoused students in the district, and I'm wondering if it's possible to get any kind of further breakdown of that 200.
Sure?
We can.
Yep, we can, yep. Great, thank you. Okay, at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056D for the purpose of labor contract negotiations between the Auburn School Department and the Auburn Education Association ESP unit. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor? All right, we are in executive session. Thank you, everyone.